I can tell you that Summer, on more than 5 occasions, came up with fun, like, games for chores and activities, and like we had family bucks and all these things to try to get everybody excited about doing the things that they should do. Did they work? No, not really. Did Summer spend a lot of time? Yes, she did. Was it fun to watch her, like, try to come up with creative ways to create a unity of the things that we would do when we were all together? Yeah, it was fun.
You know what? They worked, but
you know what really worked? The timeout chair.
I'm Summer.
And I'm Mike.
And we got married with children.
It's been 12 years since we got this gang together.
And we're still running the rapids of living with a blended family.
And sometimes that is just not easy.
If you're looking for support and tools when it comes to divorce, step-parenting, co-parenting, and giving it your best,
you're in the right place.
We're talking about everything.
You ready to get this party started?
Always.
All right. Here we go again. Another fun episode of Everything Always.
And you're back. I think we've missed you for an episode or two.
It's good to be missed.
So I talked about on one of our episodes that we are going to start reading.
We're getting a bunch of letters.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool. Because when Summer first came up with this idea, I'm like, nobody's going to do that. Who's going to take time to sit down and write out something and anonymously send it?
Well, you know what? I thought that too. But then I realized people write in, like sometimes people will send a direct message about something. And it's kind of private because it's like only we're seeing it, right? So I was like, well, if you can do that, why wouldn't you send in something if it's totally anonymous? I guess the fear is like, oh my gosh, they're going to actually read it. However, maybe people have learned that we're not going to read any names. We still don't see.
Not yet.
Who it's coming from. Right, exactly. So what we're talking about, if this is one of the first times you're ever listening to us, you're like, what are they even going on about?
They're like, what in the hell?
What letters? What this? So we have something on our website, everythingalways.co, where you can write a letter to anyone, and we are taking them and reading them on the podcast. The thing is that it's totally anonymous. Not only are we not saying who wrote the letter, who they're to, any of that, we don't even know who you are when you write this letter. So it's a form that you submit. All we receive is that there has been a submission.
And it's a good opportunity for you to say something that you normally couldn't say. It's not a good opportunity for you to use it like a journal.
Not necessarily. You could. Some of them sometimes feel like a journal entry. Isn't that what a journal is for? Or are you talking about super long ones?
But journals might not be anonymous. You always hear those stories about, I read your journal. Don't you wish that you had just been sending all of those letters to us instead?
So here's the thing. When you write the letter, the only way, there is a way we can find out who you are if we reply to you and say, thank you, we've received your submission. If you then reply back to that, then the email.
I mean, you could just put your name, address, phone number, social security number, and bank account in the letter.
Horrible. You're a bad person.
I'm just kidding.
No, but that is the only way that we know who you are, is if you then reply back to us, and then your email will come back. So here's the thing. People are writing. This is what we're going to do today. We have about 4 letters that we're going to get through, and then we're going to keep doing episodes where we read a chunk of them at a time and actually give a little bit more time to respond to them, because we kind of felt like we were reading letters on some of the episodes, responding to them, and then having our expert interview or whatever the topic was about. So we thought, what if we try this format? Let's try to read a bunch of them at a time so that we can get through more of them instead of one a week. So here we are.
I like it. Let's roll. What's the first letter?
Well, I'm going to get into the first letter, but you're
Wow, that's a long one.
No, these are different. Look at I basically copied and pasted.
I see.
Yeah, there's like 4 or 5 different ones I have here. And you'll see as we go through these, some people will write to us. Some people are actually writing to a person. Some people are just like, I got to get this off my chest. Some people are angry. again, this is the purpose of this. We want you to just like vent it out, and something that, because what you don't want to do a lot of times is send these things to that individual person, because it's probably not going to have the response that
some of these
you
I would
want,
recommend
or the
that
outcome you want.
you really don't send.
Right.
It's probably best just to bury it deep down inside.
Because that's really healthy. So should we go? Do you want me to read? Do you want to read?
No, you're definitely reading. I'm going to sit right here, sip my coffee, and enjoy the stories.
Okay. First one. Hi, Mike and Summer. This is a cool idea. I'm writing this letter about my ex. To my ex. I know that you love our kids, but you have made co-parenting very hard. You are consistently inconsistent with your moods. One day you are so nice calling me a great parent, and the next you berate me if I can't pay half of something. I'm tired of it. But even though I am tired of it, I can take it. The ones who can't take it are the kids. I believe you have a disorder, and I'm not saying this because I want to attack you, but because I think it's impacting the kids and yourself. While I'm very upset with the lies you tell them and the verbal abuse you send my way, I still care that you are well. I hope that you get help before it's too late. The kids are growing quickly and almost in their teen years, and I imagine this will only get worse as it has. I used to think we were the only ones who couldn't figure out how to get along, and then I started seeing people all over the place who are having issues. I really hoped when we got divorced that we could be different. I wanted to be the parents that could get along even if they didn't like each other much. I know I'm guilty too of making it difficult. I often think of actually sending a letter like this to you, but even when I've sent something small that addresses my concerns, you immediately tell me it's my fault. I'm at a loss and have settled with the fact that I don't have much control over this. I'm going to counseling myself to help with the anxiety I have with raising kids as a divorced parent. I wish that you would too, but I can't control that. You preach to everyone that you are a great parent and that I am the one who is difficult, but I hope that deep down you see that you are responsible too. Wishing for the best.
You don't really seem like you're that difficult to me.
I know, right? That was actually, that was a great letter. As these letters come in, I have to say, she said somewhere, or he said I guess we don't know, huh? I don't know why I just assumed the way it was written, it was a woman. So, but it could be a man too. We don't know. Something about, I used to think we were the only ones who couldn't figure out how to get along. And
this doesn't really matter.
Well, the more that I know that we've felt that way in situations where we're like, you feel like you're the only one going through a certain situation. That was kind of the whole thing of this podcast. People would come on the show, we'd have certain experts come on, and I just noticed more and more, oh my gosh, all these things that you thought were so unique to your situation, your co-parenting situation, your divorce situation, your relationship with your kids, there's like, it's out there. Like lots of people are experiencing that, but when you're going through it, you feel like it's only you. Like,
and there's no community to it either.
Yeah.
Right? You're like, holy crap, my world's sort of upside down. My friends are divided, money issues, all the things, right? You're trying to figure it all out. So that was actually one of the main reasons I think that we decided to do this.
Well, and more as we go through this journey, I do see like, hey, there's so many people that have experienced this exact situation, or there's so many people that have gone through, that are struggling with their ex or having issues with their teen, or it just going through those hard things. You're not alone in this.
This is a tough one because when you're in high conflict and like you're in those situations where both people are basically at each other's throat, it's impossible, even if you're coming from a really true position of saying, hey, I want to tell you that I think something's not right. And we're not married anymore. I still care about you. I want you to be okay for yourself and for our kids. It won't be accepted that way.
It won't.
And people naturally are going to be defensive.
Right. Well,
right off the bat.
Well, also because of the source and who it's coming from. Right. So if it's coming from somebody that you're already not getting along with, then you just assume, well, they're just saying this to hurt me. It's not like they really care. And that could be it. And you would probably receive it the same way if they said the same thing to you. Well,
and there's probably situations where things were said that were actually said to hurt the other person. So it's right. Like, how do you get through that mix of all the complication?
Yes.
Try a different delivery method, potentially.
Yeah, I think in these type situations, I think, this is of course just opinion when we talk about all of these things and things that have worked for us, because we're not
You get to
experts.
something like that, I'm like, I'm not sure what to do. I'm thinking about it right now. I'm like, I don't know.
Just an exercise like this, I know for me, journaling and writing out and writing these letters, which is why I thought of this. I think I was like in the shower one day and I was just like, oh my gosh, what if we had this like forum, this open forum where people could just like write out that stuff. And so I hope that this is helpful for the people that have been writing this out. But even if it is in your own journal or wherever you can, just to let it out as if you were telling that person, it brings some type of relief. But the truth of the matter is like this person said, I can't control, I don't have control over this. I don't have control over you telling me it's my fault. Like you really don't. You really can only think about how you are parenting with your kids. Don't play the game of I'm gonna badmouth you to the friends and tell everybody that you're difficult and I'm gonna attack. Don't be the one that attacks. And one thing I appreciate is saying, I know I've made it difficult too. What was it? I know I'm guilty of making it difficult. And accepting that responsibility, that's huge, is always looking at ourselves too and going, what have we done? It's not just the other person. What are things that we've done that we can learn from?
And then the biggest part of it that stood out for me was the fact that it's the kids that are the ones that are having to deal with the issue, right? It's not fair for them. And it's, and that we talk about taking responsibility. Man, you know what? The kids didn't ask to be in this situation. So suck it up and be the best that you can for them. It has nothing to do with with the parents.
Yeah. There was the part.
And of course, mental illness is a real thing.
Yes.
If you get to that point where you feel like somebody could be in danger, that's a totally different thing, right?
Yep.
But
and in that case, definitely consult
mood swings and stuff like that. Yeah, it's difficult and it's hard. But
right. And you definitely have to
do is be the consistent parent that shows a good example and try to be the best you can for your kids when it's your time and opportunity.
Yes.
And eventually, the kids will be attracted to that. They'll want more of that, and they'll understand that they can model after that behavior.
Yeah, and I think more often we've seen this because it's been many, many years that we've been experiencing this ourselves, and also have friends who have gone through it. We have people who have adult children now who've gone through the divorce of their parents, and you do see there might even be an interim where it doesn't seem like the kids are going to be drawn to that more good stuff. You're like, but they're all wrapped up in all this negativity. But it does. I think we've seen it more times than not, where as they get older, they are drawn to that and they start to seek answers, and they start, because they're adults, and they just start thinking about it.
They're getting more perspective because they're getting older.
Yeah, and they're having relationships of their own, so they're curious.
Thanks for sending that in.
That was a great one. Thank you, and we wish you the best as well.
Okay, the next one.
You sure you don't want to read one?
No, I don't want to do it. But this one looks really good. It's from Jane from Minnesota. Just kidding.
Yeah, we don't know who you are, but here's our next anonymous letter. I have a confession to make. My husband's kids just left to go to their mom's house, and I feel so relieved. We've been living together for 3 years, and I really love his kids. At least I say I do, and I think I do. I mean, I like them. But I always feel so relieved when they are gone, because then I have time with my husband and my kid from my previous marriage and our baby that we have together. I feel like I have control and that we have a good routine and good rules. But when they are here, that all seems to go out the window. They are noisy during my daughter's nap time. They are messy and leave piles of clothes everywhere and never pick up after themselves. Then my older daughter won't do it because they don't, and she only does it when they are gone. I feel more comfortable enforcing rules when they are not here. I feel bad saying it, but every week that they leave, even if it's for just a few days, is like a breath of fresh air. I know this is a place to write a letter and not ask for advice, so I guess I'm not asking and really just getting off my chest how I feel each week. From what I read out there, it's normal to feel this way, and still I feel bad. Selfishly, I wonder how much longer I can take this. Sometimes I feel like it takes the joy of my own kids. Thank you for all you do in bringing a voice to these trying situations. Well, thank you first.
I think actually Summer really relates to this because when I go to work, she has the same feeling of relief.
Yes. See, Mike is the kid in this situation.
It's true. She literally yesterday was like, you leave your shoes all over the house.
You know what's funny? He does. I mean, it's like I get out of the car in the garage. There's a couple of pairs of shoes by the door going into the house, normal place.
I just didn't want to wear my shoes inside.
Then you walk inside. There's like another, go another 5 feet.
Keep them in the kitchen in case I need to put my shoes on.
Then they're by this chair, then by the couch.
It is not that bad.
I went around and I was like counting. I'm like, there are like 10 pairs of shoes. Now people are like, that's a lot of shoes for.
And secretly, don't tell Summer. I secretly do it because I know that she likes it. They're little reminders.
Of you?
Of me.
And your feet?
All over the place.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
It's very thoughtful and sweet.
Okay, so you don't like it when you're
this is okay. Again, I have to say, this is why I'm saying we get these letters and it's like all of them. I'm like, oh, relate to it.
I think a lot of people are happy when the kids leave, whether they're stepkids, your kids, your friends' kids.
No, but this is a real deal, and you're right. This is super common. It's that feeling of, you have to remember, I think you said 3 years, and you've got an hour baby as well. So you've got your daughter, it sounds like, you've got
new baby,
his two kids, and then you've got a new baby. That's a lot. That is a lot. And 3 years, it hasn't even been that amount of time for you to really find that groove, because we have gone through this with our kids. You had 2 kids, I had 2 kids, and we've done episodes on this where it's like, oh my gosh, what did we do? Because our kids were very similar in ages, and there's like, okay, well, these 2 are getting along, these 2 are not getting along, they have to share a room.
And then they'd all go away, and I'd be like,
you could take a deep breath, but sometimes it was a deep breath, even if it was, okay, we just have 2. And I know that feeling as well, where it's you love your stepkids, but then there's that time you're like, it's so nice to have this time with just you had a time before where your daughter wasn't competing for attention, and you miss that, and you feel as if you're missing out on that, because now you're giving your attention in all these different areas. And sometimes that attention isn't always good. It's not just like, I'm giving this loving attention to these other kids. Sometimes it's, now I have to discipline them. Now I have to clean up after them.
Well, and the way that timeshare works is that you don't get into the routines and have that perfect groove. The one thing I would say is that it's really important for you and your husband to have a clear understanding of the rules and the things that you do in your own house, because you can't control what happens outside of your home. You can only control the things that happen at your house, and you should have consistent rules and things. So leaving clothes out and not following the rules of your house, that's on you. Those are things that you determine that you can control. You can't control what happens when they're gone, but your house, your rules, that can very well apply as long as you guys are on the same page in terms of communication and enforcing that.
And supporting each other through that too. There's times where you're going to have to say, hey, can we talk about, Sally, when she left this huge mess. Do you think that you could help me in talking to her and not doing that, or helping us out before she leaves and having things cleaned up? Here's the other thing. If it's really, really important to you, because Mike has always said too, you got to pick and choose your battles. It's hard enough with all of these things going on. Are there some things that we can let slide? Is it really, really upsetting to you, or is it just an annoying thing?
I don't know what to say.
You used to say that though. You used to say that to me.
Well, it's true.
Things I was just like, okay,
you know what?
I'm getting frustrated over this, and you would be like, okay, is it really that important? Are you irritated about other things? Like, do we really need to make such a big deal? And I think there are times when it's like, yes, because we're trying to be consistent with this rule. And sometimes it's like, maybe this isn't, of all the things that we're dealing with, maybe this isn't the thing that we need to harp on.
Yeah. I mean, that's true. Picking and choosing your battles. Sometimes it's like, pick the big ones, figure out which ones you want to fight. You can't fight a war on every front.
Well, one thing that you said in this letter, anonymous writer, that stood out to me is my older daughter won't do it because they don't, and she only does it when they are gone. So what I'm gathering you mean is that you have certain responsibilities for your daughter, for all the kids, and when the other kids are gone, she'll do it. Like, okay, I'll clean my room and,
It's like
and
the
that.
dog, like
But when
tail wagging the dog.
but when the other kids are there and they're not doing it, she's like, cool, now I don't have to do it either. And then we've been there. We've totally been there with all of our kids and the different things. And again, they all had a different life. You had a different life. You all had a different situation that you were used to and comfortable with. And then everything got changed. And then they went through that change. And then there's another change with all of you coming together. And now there's this whole new situation of rules and things. And it's a lot. It's a lot on all of you. And sometimes, I would always, you get wrapped up in how it feels for you, which is totally fine. And you should acknowledge all of that. But also what's helpful is taking the perspective of the other people. What's your husband's perspective on this? How's he feeling about it? How are the kids feeling about it? How is Jimmy, who's 13 years old? I don't know how old the kids are, but like what's it like for him?
These are little guys.
It sounds like they're little guys, but they're old enough to have responsibilities and things. So, what's it like for them? What are your kids going through with your ex? What are his kids going through with their ex?
Yeah.
There's a lot into the equation. So
I can tell you that Summer, on more than 5 occasions, came up with fun, like, games for chores and activities, and like we had family bucks and all these things to try to get everybody excited about doing the things that they should do. Did they work? No, not really. Did Summer spend a lot of time? Yes, she did. Was it fun to watch her, like, try to come up with creative ways to create a unity of the things that we would do when we were all together? Yeah, it was fun. You
know what? They worked, but
you know what really worked? The timeout chair.
Oh my gosh, remember the little timeout bench?
We had this little tiny timeout bench. It was like 20 inches wide, and like I think they actually liked the timeout bench.
Oh, because just like
occasionally I would see like things that would get you into timeout being perpetrated on purpose so they could just go and have a little timeout.
Yeah. Well, here's okay. So yeah, we did family bucks, we did jars, we did money incentives, we did all kinds of things. And actually those things, I think that they did work, but if you have the expectation that they're going to work forever, they're not. They work and then they fade out because now all of a sudden the kids are older. It's like, okay,
I think what they got,
that worked for,
that it was important enough to try to do something. And so they started going, okay, a lot of time and energy went into like cutting out this fake money. I better actually start brushing my teeth at night.
Yeah. Well, and then the things, they change and they evolve. But if you think about it, a lot of these things work. I know that when we see all of our kids that are currently living at home, our teenagers, when they eat something, they put it away, they put it in the dishwasher. We
have about a 72.8% success rate with wash your own dishes.
Yes. Or if you're making something, clean up. I would say they all clean up. They all do their own laundry, but they are approaching 16 and 14. So I would hope so. But the thing is you don't tell kids just once.
Where does the time go?
You don't put something into effect just once. You have to keep reinforcing. So at the end of the day, here's what I have to say. I totally get it and relate. I know that you're wondering how much longer can you take this?
It'll get easier.
I think you think that no matter you're gonna feel that way as your baby grows. You know this already. Having toddlers, there's so many things that you're like, how much longer can I take this? And I think that is just life, that you're going to constantly be pushed. But because it's your family, you start to realize how much all of these things are worth it.
And one thing that I can tell you without kidding around is you should never tell them that you're happy when they leave.
Exactly, yeah.
Whatever you do, don't do that.
When they come back, I missed you. You do it. You do end up missing them.
See you later, suckers.
Hey guys, did you know that you can text us now? Like if you want to be the first to know if we're going live or just launched a new episode, or maybe that we just went out on a date or had a fight, who's right, who's wrong, maybe we ate too much for dinner or missed a workout. No, seriously, we want to share more of what's going on in our lives, and we want to make sure that you don't miss out on anything new. So send a quick hello to 760-389-3722, and let's stay connected. All right, back to the show. Okay, this next one makes me like uncomfortable to read.
Okay.
Did you just take a glance?
Go ahead.
A quick read. I'm going to be honest. I'm just going to
Just
be,
do it.
I'm just going to be super honest.
Dive in. Water's warm.
I kept pushing this one down the list because it's uncomfortable to read, but we're going to read it because this is a big deal for the writer who sent this in. And obviously this is something that a lot of people are going through. To my ex, do you know that you have taken your little girl's heart and stomped on it? You literally had your own father walk away from you, and now you are doing the same. You can only father if she matches the picture of what you want her to be. How is that fair? You are like a dictator. You want her to be perfect and never express herself. You want her to do exactly as you please, and when she didn't, you just walked away. She's in a better place now that your toxic, controlling influence is out of her life, but you should forever know that what you have done is heartless, cold, and there's absolutely no excuse for it.
Thanks for sharing. Okay, next letter.
Right? It's hard. And it's so hard because this too it feels like such everyone is only going through something the way that they are going through it. But what's sad to me is that this too is something that's common.
Well, what kind of parent is going
Parents
to walk away from their kid? Number one, that's just BS. Number two, I can't stand people that are super controlling. It's my way or the highway. And I'm going to put this picture of you in my mind. And if you can't actually achieve that, which is probably impossible to achieve, then I'm actually going to make you feel less because you can't do that. What a jerk.
Well, what's really hard is that, we've seen this happen with co-parents, putting this parent, you have to be this type of parent or we're not going to get along, and they berate each other like the first letter had said. So in this situation, I
agree that she's probably in a better place.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that better place is with a really well-adjusted
How do you
other
know?
parent.
Yeah, the daughter, right? I was like, wait, how do you know it is a daughter?
She's in a better place.
Yeah, she's in a better place. Sorry, I just kind of.
It would be easier when you guys send your letters if you included a family picture.
No, but this is so hard. And I don't know, you've taken it's either you were a dictator. I don't know if this is a mother or father who walked away. To my ex, you've taken your little girl's heart. You've literally had your own father walk away. So I don't know. You can only father if she matches the picture. So this is a woman whose ex-husband walked away. So
it's important. So there's something to be said in terms of how to take this situation now that you have the opportunity to, create a better space for your daughter. You need to make sure that you address and consider that no matter what she's saying or whatever, she probably is feeling that abandonment feeling. No kid wants to feel like they aren't wanted.
Rejected and not wanted.
So,
exactly.
I don't know exactly the right thing to do, but I would say counseling, make sure that there's an open forum for communication. You're probably going to see a bunch of things like, I don't care, or she'll say negative things about her dad, but really in her heart, she's feeling like sad.
Course.
So, and everybody handles it different, but I would be super aware to try to keep an eye on that because that's tough stuff, right? Really tough stuff.
That's extremely, extremely tough. I think the other thing is I know a lot of adults that this has happened, and it sounds like here it says you literally had your own father walk away from you and now you are doing the same. So it looks like
it's like you either mimic the pattern or you
do better,
or you
make change.
Decide to change, right? Well, that's why they say abusers abuse again.
Yeah.
Unless they go the exact opposite. You follow the pattern that you were taught, or you learn from it and do the opposite of whatever that thing was.
Yeah. So. I would also make sure you have all of these things as much as you can. Document the things that have happened, because when you use words like controlling and toxic and things, I'm guessing you have a long list of things that it led to lead up to this. That's a pretty drastic move. I'm guessing there's a lot of things that have happened, and I would hope that you have a lot of things documented, because I don't know how old this little girl is or whether this person's going to try to come back. Like,
Narcissists have a way of coming back.
Sounds like narcissistic behavior.
It hurts their ego.
Yeah.
Right.
So just make sure that you've got your ducks in a row and protect yourself, protect your daughter as much as you can, and seek out that expert advice. We've got some episodes on this, and I know we've got one coming up with a custody coach expert who talks in awesome detail about how to protect yourself in these situations. Okay.
Thanks for sharing.
Thank you so much. And I know that's so super hard to share. So we appreciate that. All right. Our final letter for today's episode. You still want me to keep reading?
Yeah. You're doing a great job. You
just like to sit back and
lean back. I just kind of imagine what's going on.
Okay. Next one. I am so frustrated. My stepdaughter is very inappropriate with her social media. She dresses very revealing. She dances on TikTok to profanity, and she is constantly saying curse words. Her mom says nothing about it. She's only 14. When my husband says something to her, she says that she should have a right to say what she wants to say. I also have a 10-year-old daughter, and I worry about the influence on her. I feel like I can't say this publicly, but I have to get it off my chest. How does she think this is okay? And what can I do if she completely undermines what my husband says?
Amen, sister.
All right. You know what? You're like, amen, sister. This is another thing. I feel like I see that. First of all, this is something I see people talking publicly on, step parenting groups.
Man, and it's like our society has changed so much in terms of what's okay and what's not. Morals, I feel, are just out the window, right? You've got teenage kids dressing like they're Julia Roberts in Pretty Woman.
Yeah, I mean, you see that
you're like the videos that the music they listen to, the music videos. Holy cow, they're like little pornos. You've got it's acceptable now. Whatever. Who knows?
The things that are acceptable, right?
And there's hard because the world is saying it's all right, and now you're battling against trying to keep some of that control. I guess I don't even have a lot to say here because I don't know.
I think we can, again, we're only going to share our opinion. I mean, our opinion is we've for years, when just the things that we've seen, we get frustrated, because I think there is appreciating your body, loving your body, all of those things that every human should have. And you do want to promote that. There is also cheapening it and also doing things that could quite possibly get you in danger. I mean, there are infinite amounts of shows and cases of people that are trying to get children, they pose themselves as, hey, I'm a friend of yours. And then they're this like creepy person.
There's a lot of that.
There's a lot of stuff going on.
Very aware of.
Well, and when you say things like, she dances on TikTok to profanity and dresses very revealing, we know exactly what you're talking about, because you see it and you're like, wait,
we have teenage daughters.
We have teenage daughters. We know what's up. And we've had the situations where a mom, says, oh, hey, by the way, all the girls were together today, and this is what they were doing. And then you have to have a talk about it. And then, and as they get older, you're not watching you can't be on top of every single second. So you do your check-ins and you have to have these conversations. What I can say is we totally get your frustration. The big thing that I'm hearing here is the frustration that you and your husband seem to be on the same page, but your stepdaughter's mom is not, and is totally cool with that. You do have an influence though, and whether it's going to actually influence or not, I think it's totally appropriate to say, or have the conversation, or have your husband have the conversation of,
this is
how
acceptable,
is it?
This isn't.
Well, also,
be clear with ground rules in terms of what's okay and what's not.
Well, you definitely get to decide that, especially if you own, the device that they're doing this on. But I think the bigger thing is for them to understand what the things that they're putting out there does portray them in a certain way. And so you want to, how do you want to be perceived?
What's on the internet never goes away.
what goes on the internet never, ever goes away. It lives forever. Even if you have deleted something, it still lives. Those type things can be revived. They absolutely can. And I think people forget that. Text messages that you send that you might delete on your phone weren't deleted on the other person's phone. And even if you've gotten a new phone, all of those things can be brought up. It's just everything lives forever that you put out on this cloud. So yes, it lives forever. And how is it that you want to be portrayed? So when you look at certain influencers and the content and the things that they put out, I'm saying this is how you can express this to your children, is the things that you put out are because you are trying to put out a certain message. You want to be perceived in a certain way. I'm a kind person. I'm a professional. I'm a, this teenager is going to be going out for a job soon enough, I'm sure. And those things we had this conversation.
It's tough, right? I'm wearing a sweatshirt so that I can be wearing this shirt to school. Even
a babysitter. Okay. We were out to dinner with some friends. This cracked me up. And the friends that we were with were like, okay, we got a new babysitter, and they have like really young kids. We got a new babysitter for tonight that was referred to us. So she was saying like how sweet she was and that. And then all of a sudden she gets curious because she's like, who is with my kid? And she starts looking her up on Instagram and TikTok. And she literally she threw up a little bit in her mouth, and she was like,
I gotta get home.
She's pretty much naked. But even that's just, that's the babysitter. But what happens when you are like, okay, this is the career I want to go after. This is the school I want to get into. You just don't know. And so I would say it's at least a good idea to have your kids consider that as they become older, as they become young adults and adults. So there's nothing wrong with that. And yes, perhaps they can delete that account and most likely won't get found or whatever, but you never know. Okay. So I get that. I totally get that. And you're saying, what can I do if she completely undermines what my husband says? I really think that you just stay true to who you are. Unfortunately, as a step parent, you don't have much say. Your husband does have a say, but if she's allowed to do something one place and not the other, the best that you can do is say, just want you to be aware of what consequences might be. I love you. I'm looking out for you. I want the best for you. But that's one thing that is super hard. If those type of things are allowed at one house, but then not the other, what can you do?
Yeah, it's tough.
All right. Those are our letters. Keep sending them.
This whole episode was just going through letters.
Yeah. So I think we'll keep trying that as we're getting these so that we can cover more.
This occasionally. I think right now, the format is we try to do one.
We try. Well, no, that's the whole thing. Is we tried to do one per. So now I think we're going to have episodes where we bring more of them at once.
Yeah,
so.
This is good.
Yeah,
I keep sending them. We get really bored, so we like to sit around and read them.
Oh yeah, so bored.
We read them to the kids. And we're like, "Aren't you guys really happy that we're not sending these letters about you?" But maybe we are.
Maybe we are. All right, guys. Thanks for listening, and we will catch you next time.
Thank you so much for listening. And we like to say, if you enjoyed this episode, share it with someone you love and be bold enough to share it with someone you don't. See you next time.